Hey guys, this is Aegis, and I've got a game here. This is from the Platinum level, and the reason why I haven't started this game yet is because this is a teachable game. It's a Protoss versus Protoss, but we're going to ignore that for the moment. There's several things that you'll want to pay attention to in this game if you do want to get better. I know a lot of players that you talk to that are higher level will generally tell lower level players like things like just macro better, and it's hard to describe how exactly to macro better without actually seeing a game. So over here we have Fuzzy Frog, and his opponent is going to be Darcini. And when this game was sent to me, it was labeled as nice comeback. Um, yes, it ends up being true, but there's several things that we need to look at before um, we talk about the comeback part of this game. We're gonna see a little bit of early game pressure coming out of Darcini. So both players are doing okay right now. It looks like the probes have paused a while for Darcini, and he's building a 10 gateway. But we're going to ignore that. The standard build over here is going to be getting out the 11th and 12th. Ugh. Okay, 12th probe, and then getting the... I thought I saw 11 gateway again, and... but anyways, you get this gateway on 12 or 13. If you get it on 13, you'll be able to continuously make probes. But since it is a PvP, it's okay to get this on 12. You'll be able to get your cybernetics core faster, be able to get your warp gate tech faster. And because Darcini has gone for this fast gateway, he's going to be able to put on some pressure. We'll see him do that shortly. And over here, everything that Fuzzy Frog is doing is very normal. Aside from the name, I've never seen a Fuzzy Frog before. I guess a stuffed animal. But there it is, the cybernetics core. And what you want to say about the cybernetics core is not like 17 cyber core or 18 cyber core. You want to say that this goes down right after your gateway finishes. So you want to have your probe sitting there ready to throw down your cyber core whenever your gateway finishes. This gas could be a little bit early. It is a PvP. You do need that extra minerals in the beginning to get up some probes, as well as perhaps additional unit producing structures, but we'll ignore that as well. And over here, Darcini is going for these two gateways. He's going to be rushing down here with a couple of zealots. He's rallying things over here as well, and he's not going to be actually going all in on this. He does have his cybernetics core coming up, as well as his gas. And I'd say that it's a little bit out of order. I think his gas was a little bit late for him getting the cybernetics core, since this finishes and his cyber core finishes, and he cannot start the warp gate research. He just doesn't have the gas for it right now. And we see the probe for Fuzzy Frog checking out the map here, and it's going to scoot over here, see the watchtower, and from his vision he knows those zealots are coming. He does have one stalker at the front. He's going to be able to micro a little bit while he waits for a second. Uh-oh, he's getting a sentry. Usually you do get another stalker or a second zealot out of this gateway here. It looks like the zealots are immediately going to begin working on that mineral line. The stalker getting in there will be microed, and the sentry coming to the front, throwing down a force field, but not quite good enough. Fuzzy Frog going for the one gate robo. It looks like the sentry does fall. He's going to be getting up his robotics facility. As of this point, it's okay to actually run your probes. A little bit, but not everything. So you want to make sure you do keep some of your probes alive. Alright, so we're going to be getting to the point where we're going to be talking about what was mentioned as a comeback. Alright, so Fuzzy Frog is down to 10 food. He's got 4 workers. And we'll see that his opponent, Darcini, has not spent his chrono boost and hasn't made probes for the entire time, even though he's been down here doing a heck of a lot of damage, and he's trying to target down the Nexus right now. It looks like he's not going to be able to do that. There are a bunch of stalkers and probes attacking all of these zealots. The last zealot will fall, and here's the point where we begin talking about macro. So Fuzzy Frog is down to, of course, Brood War style, 4 probes and mining, and his opponent is got his second expansion coming up. But his advantage is a lot less because he has not been macroing very well. He's getting up his third gateway. He's banked about 200 minerals, only now spending it on a couple of extra units. He even had some queued up in there for a while. He's going to be moving forth with a probe, probably to take some mining at the natural expansion. We're going to see the correct response out here for Fuzzy Frog. He's pulled everyone out of gas except for this one guy. There it is. He's pulled everyone out of gas to just mine minerals. He needs to get that back up and running. He's going to be getting an observer. I don't agree with this observer. You know your opponent is ahead. There's not much. Even if you saw it, there's nothing you can change about your play. So this observer could have been better spent. The gas could have better been spent on something else, maybe a stalker or something like that. So Darcini over here finally getting up his 3 gateways into warp gates. His was very late because he grabbed that gas at a slightly odd timing. And as we see here, since Darcini has not been macroing at all, essentially, he has an equal amount of probes as Fuzzy Frog now. And Fuzzy Frog is retaking the gas, and he's going to be completely okay, aside from these few mining at the natural expansion. But Darcini is actually responding with cannons, and usually if you lose in the way that Darcini, you're going to see Darcini lose, you're going to think to yourself, like, how overpowered is that? The observer does get taken out here, how unfortunate. But you're going to think that one base Protoss's all-ins are very powerful. And we see Darcini actually pushing across the field with like 3 stalkers and like 3 additional units here. And Fuzzy Frog has way more stuff than he does because he spent all of this money over here. Cannons, a gas that's not being mined, and a Nexus, and he's got way fewer units. If there was a single force field here, 3 of those would have been dead, and Fuzzy Frog would have had an opening to actually go out and attack. He threw down 2 Guardian Shields. By the way, they don't stack, so don't just press it wildly. Fuzzy Frog is continuing making the probe production. So what people mean by better macro just simply means continuous probe production for the most part, and also making sure that you get your upgrades, spending the energy on your Nexi, also your queens, spending your energy on your command centers. That is good macro, keeping everything low. We see Darcini's gas is getting high, so he's not sure what to spend his gas on right now. He did just throw down 3 additional gateways at the same time, so that means he had 300 minerals, or 450 minerals just sitting idly. And as we see here, Darcini is actually not making probes at all. So even though he did take that huge early game advantage, he's actually thrown most of it away by not making probes. And he's chrono boosting out his ground weapons level 1. He's going to be spending his chrono boost on that, which is great. He's queued up a ton of probes, so that's 150 minerals that are basically tied up right now, doing nothing. And also another 150 here. Fuzzy Frog now getting some immortals out onto the field. Of course, from his position, he's just thinking maybe I'll try a 1 base push and try to win this right off of that. And because Darcini is actually responding so poorly to his early game advantage, I'd say Fuzzy Frog has basically equalized it. Darcini hasn't really spent anything on tech. He's building a ton of cannons. He's got this 1 forge making that 1 upgrade, but nothing else really going for Darcini. It looks like he may be trying to push again, which is absolutely the wrong decision, especially because, like I was saying, spend all of this money. That means units that you don't have, and you'll be stronger later, so you don't want to just throw away units now to try to kill off your opponent. So you want to sit back as much as possible, especially after taking a base like Darcini. Let's see, White Raw says, make expand and defense it. So that is absolutely correct there. You want to make sure that you're able to defend the bases that you produce, which is being adequately done by 3 cannons here. But Darcini could have definitely just utilized his army. This is 6 zealots that are with his army right now, and that means Fuzzy Frog's army is actually a lot stronger. And we're gonna see Darcini throw down 2 robotics facilities. Not sure why. So when people say macro better, spend all your money, you have to make sure that you spend it on the right things. We have these 2 robotics facilities. He doesn't exactly have the money to produce out of them since he already has 6 gateways, and he's going to be pushing here, which is the wrong decision here. He's going to lose a ton of stalkers, and of course, with the force fields, it's going to be very difficult to actually move in there, and the home field advantage here for Fuzzy Frog really just does not allow Darcini to push forward, especially with his unit composition right now, which is definitely geared towards defense. He has a lot of sentries in this composition. He's getting out, well, alright, I actually didn't watch this game to this point very carefully, so I did not realize he was actually building 3 Stargates here. That is very wrong. That's about as wrong of a decision as you can make, and as we see here, Fuzzy Frog is now pushing forward with his much superior army just because he spent, let's see, 200, 100 on these robotics facilities. That's 400, 200 tied up over there, as well as a ton of gas and a ton of minerals in these 3 completely useless Stargates. And he's warping in some units right now, but Stalkers are not that great against Immortals, and Fuzzy Frog continuing to pump those Immortals. He stopped probe production. This is okay if you're going all in. I wouldn't suggest it still, especially in Masters or less. I mean, basically, I wouldn't suggest it until you actually have a clear plan, clear idea of why you're not making something, not making a probe. Like, you have to have a clear idea. Like, if I stopped making probes right now, I get to make, I don't know, 1 extra zealot, and that 1 extra zealot gives me an advantage in this next battle, which doesn't really occur with most people. And we'll see that Fuzzy Frog is going to be able to continue pushing here. Darcini's money is getting really high because I guess he's focusing a lot on this micro here. He does have 2 immortals, but these cannons, as we see, they're completely dead weight here. Why are you building cannons here? So there's Darcini's base is now under attack. He's warping in some additional stalkers with that excess 1,000 plus minerals. He's getting out Void Rays right now, but Void Rays take a while to build. He did lose a gateway right now, and this is the point where Fuzzy Frog is going to be able to take down this expansion. And as of this point, we're going to pause this game right now. Fuzzy Frog actually has 400 minerals if he wanted to be able to continue this game. Knowing his opponent is low on minerals, he could warp in a sentry, try to force seal this ramp, and keep his opponent inside while taking his own expansion if he felt that it was not possible to move up the ramp and take a win. Of course, in this case, 5 immortals, much greater than 6 stalkers. In fact, much greater than like 12 stalkers even. So Fuzzy Frog here is in a very good position. His early game losses were completely counteracted by Darcini's complete lack of macro, so it's not really a comeback. It's actually impossible to come back from the position that Fuzzy Frog was in earlier, but it's Darcini's mistakes later on in this game that actually cost him a lot. There's even a stalker picking away at a couple of these probes, and as we see, all of these Void Rays are going to pop out. Fuzzy Frog is going to warp in 1 more round of stalkers, and it's not going to be a pretty sight here, especially being that most of these units here, I have no idea why Darcini is attacking that gateway. I guess he knows he can only support this many production facilities off of 1 base. But Darcini now pushing forward. The Stalkers smartly focus fire down on the Void Rays. You don't want those to get charged, but the Void Rays are also focusing down on the Stalkers, and the Immortals absolutely obliterate everything on the ground, and Darcini is going to, we're going to see him leave the game in a second. There it is, the last Stalker does fall, additional Stalkers warp in, and Darcini has left the game, so the lesson from this is don't ever stop making probes. That's part of your macro, and when you're ahead, don't just run out there and try to throw your advantage away by building things that you can't support. So for Protoss players, we'll note that on 1 base you can support 4 gateways, maybe 5 if you're going all in, or 3 gateways, 1 robotics, or you could go 3 gateways, 1 Stargate. There's no such thing as 4 gateways, 2 robotics, and 3 Stargates all off of one base. This would have been essentially a whole void ray out in the field already. And then this one could have been an immortal, and plus all of the cannons that he built, he would have had so many more zealots that would have been great against all of these immortals. So when you look at your own games, just make sure that you're macroing, which means you're spending your energy, making sure your money is low, while making sure that you're only producing off of the buildings that you would be able to produce off of, um, on that on the number of bases that you're producing from, that you're on. So if you build extra gateways, that means you're throwing away minerals for nothing. Sure, you'll be able to do a huge warp in round if you had like 13 gateways, but after that 13 warp in, you won't be able to spend money on anything else. And essentially, once that army gets killed off, you're a sitting duck. So that's basically a little bit about macro. It's probes, pylons, making sure you don't get supply blocked, energy. I guess for lower level players, don't worry too much about the energy, but do make sure that you continuously make probes. You'll realize that you have so much more money to spend, and then you want to make sure you're spending it right. I'll have some more stuff coming out in terms of tutorials. This wasn't really a Protoss tutorial. I don't think this game would make a good tutorial, as neither player was able to actually get up a solid build order and a solid plan, since there was so much harassment early in the game. And of course, 20 minutes and not having a second base is not quite standard, even in Protoss versus Protoss. And of course, if you do enjoy what you see here, please do subscribe and like, favorite, whatever. It really does help. And I'll see you guys next time.